Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, where we dive into the creepiest stories to keep you up at night. Today, we're starting a brand new tale called The Mannequin Smile. Picture this, a guy, a shady clothing store, and a mannequin that's, well, not what it seems. This one's got chills, thrills, and that what the heck just happened vibe. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss a single scare. Got a creepy story of your own? Drop it in the comments after this I read every one. Alright, let's get into it. Buckle up, cause this is gonna get weird. My name's Ethan Carter, and I'm not exactly living the dream. At 22, I'm a college dropout, crashing on my buddy's couch in a Chicago suburb, with a bank account that's more depressing than my dating life. So when I saw an ad for a part-time gig at Trendpools, this men's clothing store at the Oakwood Mall, I jumped on it. Decent pay, chill hours, and a chance to play with some nice threads. Sign me up. I figured I'd fold some shirts, charm some customers, and maybe save enough to get my own place. But man, was I wrong about how this job would go. It was a Tuesday in October 2025 when I walked into Trendpools for my first day. The store was all sleek glass and polished wood, with racks of jackets and jeans lit up under bright LEDs. It smelled like new leather and that weird cologne they spray on everything. My boss, Greg, was waiting for me. He was maybe 50, skinny, with a grey buzz cut and eyes that didn't blink enough. He shook my hand, his grip cold, and gave me this smile that didn't reach his face. Ethan, right. You're gonna do great here, he said, handing me a name tag. First job go, pick up a mannequin for our new jacket line. There's a shop in Cicero, old place, going out of business. Here's $200, get it? Done, I nodded, pocketing the cash, though something about his vibe felt off. Like, why not just order a new mannequin? But money's money, and I wasn't about to argue. I took the bus to Cicero, found this dusty store called Vintage Threads, and holy crap, it was a dump. Broken windows, flickering lights, and racks of moth-eaten suits that looked like they belonged in a museum. The owner, some old guy with a cough, pointed me to a mannequin in the back. It was tall, maybe 6 feet, made of chipped plastic, with a blank face, no eyes, no mouth, just smooth. Its arms were stiff, one hand cracked, and it was wearing a faded tuxedo. Take it, the guy rasped. Nobody wants it. I hauled it back to Trendpools, my arms aching from dragging it onto the bus. Greg was thrilled, clapping me on the back. Perfect. Put it by the front window, dress it in the new leather jacket. I did what he said, propping the mannequin up near the glass doors. Up close, it creeped me out. Tit's blank face seemed to stare, even without eyes. I shook it off, blaming the long day, and got to work folding shirts and sweeping the floor. The real kicker came with the night shift. Greg offered me extra cash to sleep at the store a few nights a week, keep an eye on things. Oakwood Mall had some break-ins lately, and he didn't trust the security guards. There's a cot in the back room, Wi-Fi, mini fridge, easy money, he said. I needed the cash, so I said yes, figuring I'd just crash and scroll TikTok. How hard could it be? That first night, I locked up at 10 p.m., the mall's lights dimming as the last shoppers left. Trendpools felt different after hours, too quiet, the air heavy, like the store was holding its breath. I set up the cot in the back room, a cramped space behind the counter with a desk, a mirror, and a mini fridge humming like it was about to die. The mannequin stood out front, its leather jacket catching the glow of the streetlights through the glass. I tried not to look at it, but its shadow stretched across the floor, long and weird. I kicked back on the cot, earbuds in, scrolling through TikTok dumb dance videos, thirst traps, the usual. My phone was my lifeline, keeping me sane. In the silence. Around midnight, I was deep in a video about haunted Walmarts when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp taps on the front door. My heart jumped, and I yanked out my earbuds, the silence rushing in. "Greg," I called, my voice sounding small. No answer. I grabbed my phone, using its flashlight, and crept to the front. The mall, outside, was dark, just the flicker of a security light down the hall. Nobody was at the door. I checked the lock still secure, no scratches, no nothing. Probably just the wind, I muttered, but my hands were shaking as I walked back. The mannequin was right where I left it, its blank face turned toward the glass, like it was watching the mall. I swear it hadn't been facing that way before, but I told myself I was tripping. Back on the cot, I tried to chill, but the vibe was off. The mini fridge hummed louder, and the mirror on the wall caught the light weird, making my reflection look stretched. I pulled up TikTok again, but my phone glitched, the screen freezing on a video I didn't remember liking. Then, at 12:47 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. "Make sure it's wearing the good stuff." I blinked, my stomach twisting. Greg, but why not use his usual number? I typed back, "Who's this?" No reply. I checked my message. The text was gone, like it never happened. I stood, my legs shaky, and grabbed the flashlight. The store was dead quiet, but the mannequin's shadow seemed longer, creeping up the wall. I walked over, my sneakers squeaking on the tile, and checked it out. Same chipped plastic, same blank face. But its hander cracked one felt cold, colder than it should have been. I backed away, my heart pounding, and tripped over a shirt. Rack, the crash echoing like a gunshot. I froze, waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. Just me, the mannequin, and the dark. I laughed, nervous, trying to shake it off. "Get it together, Ethan," I said, heading back to the cot. I didn't sleep much that night, my phone clutched tight, the flashlight on until the battery died. But as I drifted off, I could have sworn I heard it a faint creak, like plastic bending coming from the front of the store. I barely slept after that first night at Trendpulse, the men's clothing store where I'd just started working. That faint creak I'd heard, like plastic bending, stuck in my head, replaying every time I closed my eyes. By morning, I was a wreck, eyes gritty, hands shaky, my phone dead from leaving the flashlight on. I told myself it was just the new job jitters, the Chicago suburbs' chilly October air messing with the store's pipes or something. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That simple. Something about that mannequin, the one I'd dragged back from Cicero, felt wrong. Its blank face, chipped hand, the way it seemed to watch MIT was creeping me out, and I couldn't shake it. Day 2 at Trendpulse started normal enough. Greg, my boss, was there when I showed up at 3 p.m., fiddling with the cash register, his creepy, unblinking eyes scanning me as I walked in. "Good work with the mannequin, Ethan," he said, his voice flat. "Keep it in the front window. Draw's eyes." I nodded, avoiding the thing as I restocked jeans and swept the floor. The store was quiet, just a few customers browsing, the smell of leather and cologne thick in the air. Every time I passed the mannequin, dressed in that new leather jacket, I felt it staring, even though it didn't have a face. I kept my head down, blasting music through my earbuds to drown out the weird vibe. By 10 p.m., the mall was dead, the lights outside dimming as the last stores closed. I locked the front doors, the glass rattling in its frame, and did my rounds, folded shirts, checked the register, made sure the backroom's cot was set up for another night. That's when I noticed if the mannequin wasn't where it should have been. I'd left it by the front window, facing out, but now it was closer. To the door, maybe 5 feet off, turned slightly toward the counter. My stomach dropped. "No way," I muttered, my sneakers squeaking as I walked over. I grabbed its arm cold, hard plastic hand, dragged it back to the window, my heart pounding. Had I moved it and forgotten? Was Greg messing with me? I shook it off, blaming my lack of sleep, and headed to the back room. The mini fridge was humming like a dying engine, and the big mirror on the wall caught my reflection, making me jump. My face looked pale, my brown hair a mess, like I'd aged a year in one night. I laughed, nervous, and pulled out my phone to check TikTok, hoping to chill. But the signal was crap, the Wi-Fi spotty, and my screen kept glitching, freezing on random videos. I was about to give up when I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp taps, same as last night, coming from the front door. I froze, my phone slipping from my hand, clattering on the desk. "Greg, that you?" I called, my voice shaky. Nothing, just the hum of the fridge and the faint buzz of the store's LEDs. I grabbed a flashlight from the desk drawer. My phone's battery was too low to risk and crept to the front. The mall outside was pitch black, the security lights flickering like they were on their last legs. Nobody was at the door, same as before. I checked the lock, my fingers trembling. Solid, no scratches, no sign of anyone. But as I turned back, the mannequin caught my eye. It was facing me now, not the window, its blank face somehow, wrong, like it was leaning forward, just a little. "Man, screw this," I said, my breath hitching. I marched over, grabbed its shoulders, and spun it back to the window. Its plastic creaked under my hands, louder than it should have, and its chipped hand brushed my wrist, colder than ice. I yanked my hand back, my skin crawling, and that's when I saw it, a faint scratch on its arm, like someone had carved something. I held the flashlight closer, my heart racing. The scratch looked like letters, HLP. I blinked, rubbing my eyes, but it was still there, jagged and deep. I stumbled back, my flashlight shaking, and the mirror by the counter caught my reflection. Except, it wasn't just me. There was another shape, tall and blurry, standing right behind my shoulder. I spun around, the light swinging wild, but nothing was there, just the mannequin, the racks, the empty store. My chest was tight, my pulse hammering in my ears. "You're losing it, Ethan," I told myself, but my voice sounded hollow. Needed proof, something to make sense of this. The store had security cameras, 3 of them, linked to an app on the work tablet. Greg had shown me how to use it in case of break-ins. I grabbed the tablet from the desk, my hands sweaty, and opened the app. The feed was grainy, but it showed the front of the store, the mannequin clear in the window. I rewound to an hour ago when I was setting up the cot. The footage was normal at first, me walking around, folding shirts, nothing weird. Then, at 11:43 p.m., the mannequin's head twitched. Not a lot, just a slight tilt to the left, then back, like it was testing. Its neck, I froze, my mouth dry, and kept watching. At 11:50, it moved again, its whole body shifting an inch toward the door, its chipped hand flexing. When I walked into frame, Checking the lock after the knocks, it stopped, standing still as I passed. "Hell no," I whispered, my hands shaking. So bad I nearly dropped the tablet. I paused the feed, staring at the mannequin's blank face, now frozen on the screen. It wasn't moving now, but it felt like it was waiting. I set the tablet down, my legs wobbly, and grabbed the flashlight. I had to check, had to prove this was just a glitch, a bad angle, something. I crept to the front, the store darker now, the LEDs buzzing like angry bees. The mannequin was where I'd left it, facing the window, but its shadow stretched across. The floor longer than it should have, like it was reaching for me. I got close, my flashlight on its arm. The help scratch was gone, the plastic smooth, like it had never been there. I laughed, a shaky, desperate sound, and backed away. "You're fine, Ethan. It's just a dumb mannequin," I said, but my voice cracked. I turned to head back, ready to crash on the cot and forget this night ever happened. But as I walked past the mirror, something moved in the reflection, not me, not the mannequin, but a shadow, tall and thin. Slipping out of sight, I froze, my flashlight dropping, the beams spinning across the floor. The store was silent, but my ears were ringing and my heart felt like it had burst. I didn't dare look back at the mannequin. I ran to the back room, slammed the door and locked it, my hands shaking so bad I dropped the key. I sank onto the cat, clutching my phone, but before I could open TikTok to drown out the fear, I heard Italo, soft chuckle, like someone laughing through a closed mouth, coming from the other side of the door. I sat on the cot in the back room of Trenpulse, my back pressed against the wall, my heart hammering like it was trying to break out of my chest. The door was locked, the key clutched in my sweaty hand, but that soft chuckle I'd heard from the other side, low muffled, like someone laughing through gritted teeth, kept echoing in my head. The Chicago mall outside was dead quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every creak sound like a scream. My phone was at 10% battery, the flashlight useless, and the work tablet sat on the desk, its screen still frozen on that security footage of the mannequin moving, its head tilting, its body shifting, stopping when I got close. No way that was real, no freaking way. I wanted to believe it was a glitch, a bad camera, maybe Greg pranking me to test the new guy. But the help scratched into the mannequin's arm, the shadow in the mirror, that text that vanished, none of it added up. I was Ethan Carter, 22, a broke college dropout, not some ghost hunter. I didn't sign up for this. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and tried to open TikTok, thinking a dumb video would calm me down. But the app crashed, and my screen flickered, showing a notification. New video uploaded. I hadn't uploaded anything in weeks. My stomach twisted as I tapped it, and there it was, a grainy clip, 10 seconds long, posted to my account. It showed me sleeping on the cot right here last night, and standing at the foot of the bed, its blank face turned toward me, was the mannequin. Hell no. I yelped, dropping the phone like it was on fire. It clattered on the floor, the screen still glowing, the video looping. My breath came in short gasps, my eyes darting to the locked door. That chuckle, the footage, the scratches, this wasn't a prank. Something was wrong with that mannequin, the one I'd dragged from that creepy Cicero shop. I needed to see it, to prove I wasn't losing my mind. I grabbed the tablet, opened the security app, and checked the live feed. The mannequin was in the front window, right where I'd left it, its leather jacket catching the streetlight's glow. It wasn't moving, just plastic, just a prop, right? I rewound the footage to an hour ago, my fingers trembling. At 12:15 a.m., the mannequin's arm twitched, a slow, jerky motion, like it was waking up. At 12:20, it took a step cop keen, its plastic legs creaking, the sound faint but clear through the camera's mic. Its head tilted left, then right, like it was scanning the store. When I appeared in the frame, checking the door after those knocks, it froze, its blank face turned toward me, unmoving. The second I left, it shuffled forward, stopping just short of the counter. I paused the feed, my mouth dry, my pulse roaring in my ears. "This isn't happening," I whispered, but the evidence was right there. I set the tablet down, my legs wobbly, and grabbed a flashlight from the desk. I had to check it myself, had to touch it, prove it was just plastic. The back room felt smaller now. The mini fridges hum like a growl, the mirror on the wall reflecting my pale face. I unlocked the door, the click loud in the silence, and stepped into the store. The LEDs buzzed overhead, casting sharp shadows. The mannequin stood by the window, its back to me, exactly where it should be. I crept closer, my sneakers squeaking. On the tile, the flashlight beam shaking in my hand. Up close, it looked normal chipped plastic, no face, no scratches on its arm. I reached out, my fingers brushing its shoulder, cold and hard. "See? Nothing," I muttered, my voice barely a whisper. I turned to head back, my shoulders relaxing, ready to laugh at myself for being such a wuss. But as I took a step, I heard it, a sharp creak, like plastic bending, right behind me. I spun around, the flashlight swinging, and my breath caught in my throat. The mannequin was facing me now, its blank face tilted down, and where its mouth should have been, a jagged, crooked smile was carved into the plastic, like someone had hacked it with a knife. I stumbled back, my flashlight clattering to the floor, the beams spinning across the racks. "No, no, no," I yelled, my voice echoing in the empty store. The mannequin didn't move, but that smile, it was wrong, too wide, too human. I ran, my sneakers slipping on the tile, and dove into the back room, slamming the door. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaking so bad I dropped the key twice. The click of the bolt felt like a lifeline. I sank to the floor, my back against the door, my chest heaving. "It's not real," I gasped, but my voice sounded hollow, like I didn't believe it. Outside, the store was silent, but then it came, a slow, deliberate creak, 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 like footsteps, getting louder, closer. I held my breath, my eyes locked on the door, waiting for a knock, a laugh, anything. The mini fridge hummed, the mirror glinted, and my phone, still on the floor, lit up with a new notification. I crawled over, my hands shaking, and picked it up. Another video, uploaded to my TikTok, time-stamped 5 minutes ago. It showed the store's front, the mannequin standing by the window. But as the camera panned, it caught the backroom doormy, right now, curled up on the floor. And behind the door, just out of my sight, the mannequin's shadow loomed, its carved smile clear in the frame. I dropped the phone, my heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. The creak stopped, and the silence was worse, heavy, like the store was waiting. I grabbed the tablet, my hands sweaty, and checked the live feed. The mannequin was back in the window, facing out, no smile, no scratches. I laughed, a shaky, desperate sound, and forced myself to stand. I had to check again, had to be sure. I unlocked the door, my fingers trembling, and stepped out, flashlight in hand. The store was empty, the mannequin exactly where it should be, its blank face smooth, no trace of that horrible smile. I let out a breath, my legs weak, and leaned against the counter. "You're fine, Ethan," I said, my voice cracking. But as I turned to head back, I saw it on the mannequin's arm, faint but clear. The word "help" scratched deep into the plastic, like it had been waiting for me to notice. I stood frozen in the middle of Tremples, my flashlight shaking in my hand, staring at the word "help" scratched into the mannequin's arm. The store was dead quiet, the LEDs buzzing like a swarm of wasps, and the Chicago Mall outside was a black void, no sign of life. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, and my legs felt like jelly. That mannequin, the chipped, faceless thing I'd dragged from Cicero, had smiled at me, a jagged, carved grin that wasn't there now. The security footage showed it moving, stepping, tilting its head like it was alive. And that TikTok video, uploaded to my account without me touching it, showing it standing over me while I slept. I wasn't just freaked out, I was terrified. I backed away from the mannequin, its blank face catching the streetlight's glow through the front window. "You're not real," I whispered, my voice cracking, but it felt like I was trying to convince myself more than anything. I stumbled to the back room, locked the door, and sank onto the cot, my hands shaking as I clutched my phone. The battery was at 5%, barely enough to do anything, but I needed answers. I opened Google, my fingers fumbling, and typed "vintage threads, Cicero." If that creepy shop was where this nightmare started, maybe it held a clue. The results were sparse, but I found a Reddit thread from R Chicago Weird, posted 2 years ago. Some guy claimed vintage threads was cursed, tied to a tailor named Victor Klein who vanished in the 90s. Klein was obsessed with mannequins, supposedly making them too real, whatever that meant. The shop closed after he disappeared, and people said his last mannequin was still there, unsold, like it scared off buyers. My stomach twisted. That had to be my mannequin, the chipped plastic, the weird vibe. I scrolled further, finding a blurry photo of Klein, a thin guy with wild eyes, standing next to a faceless mannequin that looked way too familiar. The thread ended with warnings. "Stay away from that place. Something's not right." I shut off my phone, my hands sweaty, and glanced at the door. The mannequin was out there, in the front window, but it felt closer, like it was listening. I grabbed the work tablet, my only lifeline to the security cameras, and checked the live feed. The mannequin was where it should be, facing them all. No scratches, no smile, but I wasn't falling for it. I rewound to last night, my heart racing. At 2:03 a.m., while I was asleep, the mannequin turned its head toward the back room. Slow and deliberate, then took a step, its plastic legs creaking. It stopped right outside the door, its blank face pressed close to the camera, like it was trying to see me. I dropped the tablet, my breath hitching. "Screw this," I muttered, but I couldn't just sit here. I needed to talk to Greg, my boss. He'd sent me to get that thing, acted like it was no big deal. Maybe he knew something. It was 3 a.m., too late to call, but I didn't care. I grabbed the store phone, dialed his number, and waited, my eyes locked on the door. It rang 5 times before he picked up, his voice groggy. "Ethan, what's wrong?" "The mannequin," I said, my voice shaking. "It's weird, man. It's moving, Greg. I saw it on the cameras. There's scratches," and calm down. He cut me off, his tone sharp. It's just a prop. You're tired, working late. Check the footage again, make sure it's secure, and go to bed. But I saw do your job, Ethan, he snapped, and hung up. I stared at the phone, my chest tight. He didn't even let me finish. Why was he so chill about this? I set the phone down, my hands trembling, and that's when I heard it, a faint creak, like plastic bending, from the front of the store. My head snapped up, my flashlight beam darting to the door. Nothing, just the hum of the mini fridge and the buzz of the LEDs. I stood, my legs shaky, and grabbed a screwdriver from the desk drawer. The closest thing to a weapon I had. I wasn't going out there, not yet, but I needed to know what I was dealing with. I opened the tablet, checked the footage from an hour ago. At 2:45 a.m., the mannequin moved again, shuffling toward the counter, its head tilting left, then right, like it was searching. Its chipped hand reached out, brushing the mirror, and the glass shook, a low hum coming through the camera's mic. When I walked out to check it earlier, it snapped back to the window, standing still, like it knew I was coming. I set the tablet down, my mouth dry, and that's when I saw it on the mannequin's arm, in the frozen footage, a new scratch. Different from help. It looked like stay, carved deep, the letters jagged. I blinked, my heart pounding, and checked the live feed. The mannequin was in the window, but its arm was smooth, no scratches. What the hell? I whispered, my voice barely audible. I grabbed the screwdriver, my knuckles white, and decided to check it myself. I had to know if I was crazy. I unlocked the door, the click loud in the silence, and stepped into the store, the flashlight beam shaking. The mannequin stood by the window, its leather jacket glinting, its blank face turned outward. I crept closer, my sneakers squeaking, and held the light on its arm. Nothing, no help, no stay, just chipped plastic. I laughed, a shaky, desperate sound, and turned to head back. But as I passed the mirror, I heard Italo humming whisper, like a voice trapped in static, coming from the glass. Don't leave. I froze, my flashlight dropping, the beam spinning across the floor. The mirror showed my reflection, pale and wide-eyed. But behind me, just for a second, was a shadow tall, thin, with no face. I spun around, the screwdriver raised, but the store was empty. The mannequin hadn't moved, but its shadow stretched across the wall, longer than it should have, like it was reaching for the mirror. I backed away, my heart racing, and that's when I heard it, a faint creak. Creak, coming from the mannequin, like it was shifting its weight. I ran to the back room, slammed the door, and locked it, my hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped. The screwdriver, I sank onto the cot, my breath ragged, and grabbed the tablet. The live feed showed the mannequin in the window, but its head was turned, just slightly, toward the back room. And then, clear as day, I heard it, a soft, muffled chuckle, like last night, but closer, coming from right outside the door. That chuckle, outside the door, low, muffled, like someone laughing through a clenched jaw, sent a chill down my spine that didn't let up. I was curled up on the cot in the back room of Trenpol's, the men's clothing store where I'd been, working for less than a week. The Chicago mall outside was a black void, the LEDs in the store buzzing like they were alive. And my heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I'd seen too much. The mannequin moving on camera, its blank face carving a smile, scratches like help and stay appearing and vanishing. And that TikTok video of it standing over me while I slept. Ethan Carter, 22, broke and scared out of my mind, was way past pretending this was a prank. I clutched the screwdriver I'd grabbed as a makeshift weapon, my hands sweaty, my eyes glued to the locked door. The chuckle had stopped, but the silence was worse, heavy, like the store was holding its breath. My phone was dead, the work tablet's battery low, and the mini fridge's hum sounded like a growl in the dark. I wasn't going out there, no way, but I couldn't stay locked in here forever, jumping at every creak. I had to do something, anything, to make this stop. "Get it together, man," I whispered, my voice shaky. I decided to stay up, keep the lights on, and watch the cameras. If that mannequin was moving, I'd catch it in the act. I grabbed the tablet, my fingers trembling, and propped it on the desk, the live feed showing the front of the store. The mannequin stood by the window, its leather jacket glinting under. The streetlights, its blank face, turned outward. I turned on every light in the back room, the fluorescence harsh, making the mirror on the wall glint like it was watching me. I paced, screwdriver in hand, trying to stay calm. But around 1 a.m., I heard it a slow creak, like plastic bending, coming from the front of the store. My stomach dropped, and I checked the tablet. The mannequin was still in the window, unmoving, but the sound didn't stop, getting louder, closer, like it was coming from the storage closet near the counter. I gripped the screwdriver, my knuckles white, and crept to the door. "You're not real," I muttered, but my voice cracked. I unlocked the door, the click loud in the silence, and stepped out, the store's leads casting long shadows. The closet door was shut, but the handle rattled, like something was pushing from inside. I froze, my flashlight beam shaking, and that's when I saw if the mannequin wasn't in the window. It was standing in the middle of the store, right by the counter, wearing a different jacket, a black denim one I hadn't touched. Its blank face was turned toward me, and its chipped hand was raised, like it was pointing at the closet. "Hell no," I yelped, stumbling back. I ran to the mannequin, my sneakers squeaking, and grabbed its arm, cold and hard, dragging it back to the window. "Stay there, damn it," I shouted, my voice echoing. I checked the mirror by the counter, my reflection pale and freaked out. But the mannequin's reflection was wrong. It was smiling, that jagged, carved grin from last night, even though its real face was blank. I spun around, the screwdriver raised, but the mannequin was just plastic. No smile, no nothing. I backed away, my heart racing, and heard the creak again, now from the closet. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I yanked the closet door open, the hinges squealing, and shined my flashlight inside. Just boxes, hangers, and a mop, nothing else. But the air felt heavy, like someone had just been there. I slammed the door, my hands shaking, and ran to the back room, ready to lock myself in and call it a night. But as I reached the door, I heard Italo whisper, like static, coming from the mirror, "Don't go." I spun around, the flashlight beam swinging, but the store was empty. The mannequin was in the window, where I'd left it, but its shadow stretched across the floor, longer than it should have, like it was creeping toward me. I dove into the back room, slammed the door, and locked it, my breath ragged. I sank onto the cot, my head spinning, and that's when my phone lit up, even though it was dead. A new TikTok notification live stream started. I tapped it, my hands trembling, and my blood ran cold. The stream showed the back room, me, right now, sitting on the cot. And standing in the corner, just out of my sight, was the mannequin. its blank face turned toward me. I screamed, scrambling off the cot, the screwdriver clattering to the floor. I spun around, the flashlight beam wild, and there it was, the mannequin, in the room, right by the mirror. Its chipped hand reached out, slow and jerky, and its blank face tilted, like it was studying me. I grabbed a chair, my hands shaking, and shoved it at the mannequin, knocking it over with a loud crash. It hit the floor, its plastic creaking, and I dove for the door, locking it from the outside, trapping it in the room. I ran to the front of the store, my chest heaving, and collapsed behind the counter, my eyes darting to the window. The mannequin was still there, in the room, right? It couldn't be in two places. I grabbed the tablet, my hands sweaty, and checked the live feed. The back room was empty, the chair on its side, no mannequin. I switched to the front camera, and my heart stopped. The mannequin was in the window, exactly where it should be, its leather jacket glinting, but its head was turned, facing the counter, right where I was hiding. I dropped the tablet, my breath hitching, and heard it a slow, deliberate creak. Creak, coming from the back room, like something was moving again. I stood, my legs wobbly, and grabbed the screwdriver from the floor. I wasn't locking myself in with that thing. I crept toward the back room, my flashlight shaking, and peeked through the door's small window. The mannequin was there, standing by the mirror, its blank face turned toward the door, like it was waiting. And then, clear as day, I heard it, muffled chuckle, low and cruel, coming from right behind the door, like it knew I was watching. I pressed my back against the counter in tremples, my hands gripping the screwdriver so tight my knuckles ached. The muffled chuckle I'd heard low, cruel, like it was mocking me, still rang in my ears, coming from right outside the back room door. The Chicago mall outside was a black void, the store's LEDs buzzing like a warning, and my heart was racing so fast I could barely think. I'd seen the mannequin move on camera, smile with that jagged grin, and now it had been in my room, reaching for me before I knocked it over and locked it inside. Ethan Carter, 22, broke and scared out of my mind, was done hiding. I couldn't keep running from this thing. I had to face it, figure out what it was, and make it stop. I grabbed a flashlight from the counter, its beam shaky in my hand, and crept toward the storage closet, looking for something better than a screwdriver. The closet door creaked as I opened it, the air inside heavy, like it was holding a secret. I found a metal pipe, maybe 2 feet long, heavy enough to do some damage. "All right, you creepy piece of plastic," I muttered, my voice barely steady. "Let's do this." I headed to the back room, the pipe in one hand, flashlight in the other, my sneakers squeaking on the tile. The store felt smaller now, the shadows longer, like the walls were closing in. I peered through the small window. In the back room door, my breath fogging the glass. The mannequin was there, standing by the mirror, its blank face turned toward me, like it knew I was coming. The chair I'd knocked it over with was still on its side, but the mannequin was upright, its chipped hand raised, like it was beckoning. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding, and unlocked the door, the click loud in the silence. I stepped inside, the pipe raised, ready to smash it to pieces. "Move, and you're done," I said, my voice shaking. The mannequin didn't budge, just stood there, its plastic, cold and lifeless under the flashlight's beam. I crept closer, my eyes locked on its blank face, waiting for that carved smile to appear. I reached out, my hand trembling, and touched its arm. It was freezing, like stone, and for a second its chipped hand twitched, closing round my wrist. I yelped, yanking my arm back, the pipe slipping from my grip and clattering to the floor. "No way," I shouted, stumbling into the desk. The mannequin didn't move again, but its grip had been real, strong, like it didn't want me to leave. I grabbed the pipe, my hands sweaty, and swung it at the mirror, thinking maybe that was the problem. The glass shattered, shards raining down, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "Take that," I yelled, my chest heaving. But as the pieces hit the floor, the chuckle came back not from the mirror, but from the mannequin itself, low and slow, like it was laughing at my pathetic attempt. I spun around, the flashlight beam wild, and saw its blank face tilt, just a fraction, like it was amused. I backed toward the door, my legs wobbly, but before I could run, headlights flashed through, the front window cutting through the dark. A car door slammed outside, and I heard footsteps, heavy and fast. "Ethan," a voice barked. "Greg, my boss." I froze, the pipe still in my hand, as he unlocked the front door and stormed in, his grey buzzcut glinting under the LEDs. His eyes were wide, his face red, like he was pissed. "What the hell are you doing?" he shouted, glancing at the shattered mirror, the pipe, the mannequin. "It's moving, Greg," I yelled, my voice cracking. "The mannequin, it's alive or something. It grabbed me. It's on the cameras. Enough," he snapped, grabbing my arm, his grip like a vice. "You're wrecking my store. It's a prop, Ethan, a damn prop. You're tired, you're seeing things. Get a grip, or you're fired." His eyes flicked to the mannequin, and for a split second, I swear I saw something fear, maybe, or recognition. He let go, his hands shaking, and pointed at the back room. "Clean this up and go to bed, now." I wanted to argue, to show him the footage, the TikTok videos, but his glare shut me up. "Fine," I muttered, my chest tight. Greg stormed out, the front door slamming, his car peeling out of the mall lot. I stood there, the pipe heavy in my hand, the mannequin still in. The back room, its blank face turned toward me. I wasn't cleaning anything. I needed answers. I locked the back room door, trapping the mannequin inside, and headed to the counter, where Greg kept his laptop. If he wasn't talking, maybe his files would. I jimmied the desk drawer, my hands shaky, and found a photo tucked under some receipts. It was old, faded, showing Greg, younger, standing in trend poles, next to the mannequin, the same chipped hand, the same blank face. The date on the back read 2015, 10 years ago. And Greg looked exactly the same. Not a wrinkle, not a grey hair. My stomach twisted. How was that possible? I shoved the photo in my pocket and checked the laptop, but it was I tried trend pools, Greg. Nothing worked. I slammed the lid shut, my head spinning, and that's when I heard it a slow creak. Creak, coming from the back room, like the mannequin was moving again. I grabbed the pipe, my heart racing, and checked the tablet's live feed. The back room was empty, the door still locked, but the mannequin was gone. I switched to the front camera, my hands trembling, and there it was, standing outside the front window, its blank face pressed against the glass, staring right at me. Its chipped hand tapped the window, once, twice, and the chuckle came again, louder, like it was inside my head. I dropped the tablet, my breath hitching, and ran to the front door, checking the lock. It was secure, but the mannequin's shadow stretched across the store, its blank face somehow smiling, even through the glass. I backed away, the pipe shaking in my hand, and tripped over a shirt rack, the crash echoing. "Leave me alone," I shouted, my voice raw. The chuckle stopped, and the store went silent, but the mannequin didn't move. Its face still pressed to the window, like it was waiting for me to come closer. I ran to the counter, my legs weak, and hid behind it, my eyes darting to the glass. It was still there, its shadow growing longer, like it was reaching for me, and I knew locked door, or not, it wasn't going to stay outside. I crouched behind the counter in trendpoles, my hands shaking as I gripped the metal pipe, my eyes locked on the mannequin outside the front window. Its blank face was pressed against the glass, its chipped hand tapping slowly, each tap echoing. In the silent Chicago mall, that low, cruel chuckle, like it was laughing inside my head, still rang in my ears. And my heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. I'd seen it move, grab me, smile with that jagged grin, and now it was out there, watching me. Ethan Carter, 22, stuck in a nightmare I didn't sign up for, was done playing games. Greg, my boss, knew something, his weird vibe, that photo from 2015 where he hadn't aged a day. I needed answers, and I wasn't waiting for him to show up again. I crept to the counter, my sneakers squeaking on the tile, and grabbed Greg's laptop from the desk drawer. The mannequin's shadow stretched across the store, longer than it should have, like it was creeping closer, even though it hadn't moved. I opened the laptop, my hands sweaty, and tried the password again. Trend pulse, Greg, mannequin. Nothing. I slammed my fist on the desk, my breath hitching, and that's when I heard it, a faint creak, like plastic bending, coming from every corner of the store. The LEDs buzzed louder, the air heavy, and I swear the mirror by the counter glinted like it was watching me. I glanced at the tablet, checking the live feed. The mannequin was still outside, its face pressed to the glass, but its head was tilted, like it was listening. I shook my head, muttering, "Screw you," and focused on the laptop. I'd seen a YouTube video once about cracking passwords, so I tried a basic hack, restarting in safe mode to bypass the login. It took forever, the fans worry, but it worked. The desktop loaded, cluttered with folders, inventory, sales, and one labeled vintage. My stomach twisted. I clicked it, finding emails dated back to 2015, from someone named V. Klein to Greg, Victor Klein, the tailor who vanished, tied to that creepy Cicero shop. The emails were cryptic, talking about a mannequin deal and a ritual to keep it bound. One line made my blood run cold. "It holds what we give it, but it always wants more." Another email mentioned a group, no names, just they who paid Greg to store it safely. I scrolled, my hands trembling, and found a photo attached, a grainy shot of the mannequin. Same chipped hand, standing in trend pulse, but its blank face had a faint, carved smile, like the one I'd seen. The date was 2015, and Greg was in the background, his eyes wide, like he was scared. I shut the laptop, my chest tight. Greg wasn't just hiding something, he was part of it. The creak got louder, now from the back room, like something was moving behind the locked door. I grabbed the pipe, my heart racing, and checked the tablet. The front window was empty, the mannequin was gone. I switched to the backroom feed, and there it was, standing by the shattered mirror, its blank face turned toward the camera, like it knew I was watching. "Hell no," I whispered, my voice cracking. I ran to the front door, checking the lock still. Secure, no scratches. But the air felt wrong, heavy, like the store was closing in. I grabbed my phone, hoping to call the cops, but the screen was black, even though it had been at 5% last night. I tapped it, my hands shaking, and it lit up with a new TikTok notification. Video uploaded. I opened it, my breath hitching, and saw a clip, timestamped now, showing me at the counter, hunched over the laptop. The camera panned to the mirror, and my reflection wasn't right. My face was smiling, that same jagged carved grin as the mannequin's, even though I was freaking out. I dropped the phone, my legs wobbly, and glanced at the mirror. My real face was pale, terrified, but for a second, I swear I saw it, the grin, flickering across my reflection, like it was trying to take over. I stumbled back, the pipe clattering, to the floor, and heard the creak again, now right behind me. I spun around, the flashlight beam wild, and there it was, the mannequin. In the store, standing by the counter, its blank face tilted down at me. Its chipped hand reached out, slow and jerky, and a whisper came, low and static, like it was inside my skull. "Ethan, stay," I screamed, grabbing the pipe and swinging it, but it didn't move, just stood there, its shadow stretching across the wall. Swallowing mine, I ran to the back room, my sneakers slipping, and slammed the door, locking it. My chest heaved, my eyes darting to the small window. The mannequin was outside the door, its face pressed to the glass, its blank eyes somehow staring. The chuckle came again, louder, like it was right next to me, and the mirror's shards on the floor glinted, reflecting fragments of that carved smile. I sank to the cot, my hands shaking, and tried to call 911 again. But my phone wouldn't connect, the screen flashing no signal over and over. The creak started again, slow and deliberate, like footsteps circling the room. I grabbed the tablet, my hands sweaty, and checked the live feed. The mannequin was gone from the door, but the backroom camera showed it standing behind me, right by the cot, its chipped hand raised. I spun around, the flashlight beam shaking. But the room was empty, just me and the mirror's broken pieces. The chuckle grew louder, echoing in my head, and my phone lit up, the TikTok app opening on its own. A live stream started, showing me, now, curled on the cot, and the mannequin's shadow loomed larger, its voice whispering, "Ethan." "Mine," I screamed, throwing the phone, and the room went dark, the LEDs flickering out. My head spun, my vision blurring, and the last thing I felt was a cold plastic grip on my arm, pulling me down as the chuckle filled the air. Everything went black, and I thought maybe I was done for. When I opened my eyes, I was on the cot, the room lit by dim LEDs, the tablet dead on the desk. My arm was cold, numb, like I'd been gripping ice. I stood, my legs weak, and checked the mirror's shards. My face was mine, no grin, but my hands, they felt wrong, stiff, like plastic. I stumbled to the door, my heart pounding, and saw the mannequin in the front window, its blank face turned toward me, like it was waiting for me to figure out what it had done. I sat on the cot in the back room of Trenpulse, my hands trembling, my arms still cold, like I'd been dipped in ice. The mannequin's blank face stared at me from the front window, its shadow stretching across the store like it was trying to swallow me whole. The Chicago mall outside was dead, the LEDs buzzing like a warning, and that low, cruel chuckle from last night still echoed in my head. I'd seen too much security footage of it moving. TikTok videos posted without me touching them, emails about a ritual on Greg's laptop, and my own reflection smiling with that jagged, carved grin. Ethan Carter, 22, broke and barely holding it together, wasn't sticking around to see what that thing did next. I was done. I grabbed my backpack, stuffed in my phone, and the photo of Greg from 2015 proof. He was tied to this nightmare and bolted for the front door. The mannequin didn't move, just stood there, its blank face tilted like it was watching me go. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaky, and stumbled into the mall's dark hallway, the security lights flickering like they were dying. I ran to the bus stop, my breath ragged, and didn't look back. The early morning air was cold, biting, but it felt alive, real, unlike the suffocating weight of Tremples. I texted Greg from the bus. I quit. Keep your creepy store. He didn't reply. I crashed at my buddy Jake's place, the same couch I'd been surfing since dropping out of college. I told him everything: knocks, scratches, the mannequin moving, Greg's weird vibe. Jake laughed, called it a wild story, but his eyes were nervous, like he didn't quite buy my overtired excuse. I didn't sleep that day, just sat on my phone, scrolling Reddit, looking for anything about Trendpulse or Victor Klein. I found nothing new, so I posted my story on our Chicago Weird, typing out every detail: the footage, the emails, the carved smile. The replies were brutal. Nice creepypasta, bro. Lay off the energy drinks, pics, or it didn't happen. I uploaded a blurry shot of the 2015 photo, but it got downvoted to oblivion. I gave up, shutting off my phone, my head pounding. A week later, I moved to a cheap studio apartment in Evanston, using my last paycheck from Trendpulse to cover the deposit. It was a dump-peeling paint, a leaky faucet, and a mirror in the bathroom that gave me the creeps, but it was mine, a fresh start. I got a job at a coffee shop, pouring lattes, trying to forget the mannequin, Greg, all of it. But the nightmares didn't stop. Every night, I dreamed of that blank face, its chipped hand reaching for me, its voice whispering, "Ethan, stay." I'd wake up sweating, my hands stiff, like they weren't mine, and check the mirror, half expecting to see that carved smile. 2 weeks after quitting, I heard Trendpulse shut down. The mall posted a notice online, something about lease issues. Greg was gone, no trace, his phone disconnected. I should have been relieved, but it felt wrong, like the story wasn't over. I started noticing things in my apartment: faint creak sounds at night, like plastic bending, coming from the hallway. I'd check, flashlight in hand, but find nothing, just the dark and that damn mirror reflecting my tired face. I covered it with a towel, but the sounds didn't stop. One night, I was scrolling TikTok, trying to drown out the quiet, when my phone glitched, the screen freezing on a video I didn't recognize. It was me, in my apartment, sleeping on the couch, time-stamped an hour ago. The camera panned to the corner, where the mannequin stood, its blank face turned toward me, its chipped hand raised. I dropped the phone, my heart racing, and checked every corner of the apartment. Nothing, no one. I laughed, a shaky, desperate sound, and told myself it was a hack, a prank. But my hands were cold again, stiff, like plastic creeping into my bones. The next day, I found a faint scratch on the bathroom mirror, hidden under the towel. Stay. My stomach twisted, my breath hitching. I grabbed a hammer, ready to smash the mirror, but my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "It misses you." I stared at the screen, my hands trembling, and the creak started again, louder, closer, coming from behind the bathroom door. I backed away, the hammer slipping from my grip, and checked the mirror one last time. My reflection was wrong pale, wide-eyed, but my mouth was smiling, that jagged, carved grin, even though I was screaming inside. I ran to the living room. my legs weak, and sank onto the couch, my eyes darting to the windows, the door, anywhere it could be. The apartment was silent, but the air felt heavy, like it was waiting. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking, and opened Reddit, ready to update my post, to warn people, anyone, about trend polls, about the mannequin. But as I typed, the creak came again, slow and deliberate, right behind me. I froze, my breath caught in my throat, and turned, the flashlight beam shaking in my hand. The room was empty, but the mirror's towel had fallen, and in the glass I saw it, my reflection, smiling, and behind it, the mannequin's blank face, its chipped hand on my shoulder. I screamed, dropping the phone, and the lights flickered, the room plunging into dark. The creak was everywhere now, like it was inside me, and my hands, they weren't mine, cold and stiff, like plastic taking over. I stumbled to the mirror, my heart pounding, and stared at my face. The grin was gone, but my eyes were wrong, empty, like its blank face. I backed away, the flashlight rolling across the floor, and heard it one last chuckle, low and cruel, right in my ear, as the creak started again, closer, louder, coming from everywhere and nowhere. Asterisk and that's where it ends, forksword, does it? What do you think happened to Ethan? Is the mannequin still out there, or was it all in his head? Drop your theories in the comments, I'm dying to hear them. If you've ever seen something creepy in a store or had a job that gave you chills, share it below, 'cause I know I'm not the only one who's felt that vibe. Hit that like button if this story freaked you out, and subscribe for more tales to keep you up at night. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Stay safe out there, and maybe check behind you tonight. Peace.